Greetings, fellow woodworkers and makers of great things. Welcome to my shop. You know, for a while I've been thinking about doing a little shop tube video, that'd be YouTube, a shop video for YouTube. And since I kind of straightened up the shop this week, and I thought this would be as good a time as any. My shop is one half of a slightly oversized garage. It's about 300 square feet, approximately 23 feet long by 12 feet wide, and it has a bump out in this corner over here that is about 10 by 3 feet, and it goes around kind of like that. So not a very big shop. You know, not the kind of shop where you're going to want to do a full set of kitchen cabinets. I have done some bigger things. An 8-foot wide floor-to-ceiling wall unit got done in here, as well as, you know, some sizable stuff. But if it's anything where you're going to do any staging of carcasses, it's not going to work out, as you can see. So let's start with the bench. My goal with the bench was to keep everything I need on a day-to-day basis in arm's reach and in eyesight. Not a fan of you know, too much stuff in drawers, too much stuff behind covered doors. So I made this as open as possible. Plexiglass doors. I like to be working, and you know, I'll need to do something, and I want to look up, and I want to come up with the right tool to accomplish what I'm doing. So over on this side are bench planes, and you can see those are you know, some very common bench planes, right? You know, low angle, smoother, scraper planes, some shoulder planes, pretty heavy duty 4.5 up there. Some routing planes, some plow planes, and the like, and miscellaneous plane irons down there. That would be this left door here. Down below that in those tool rolls would be my carving tools live in there. And then the larger bench planes are up here in the open. You know, just really no room to get them in cabinets. So I thought that to be the best solution. Hammers, bench saws, measuring and marking tools through there, screwdrivers, awls, and the like, scraper. What do we got here? We got a beading tool there, right? We got spoke shaves down there. I keep a temperature and humidity gauge in the shop. It's pretty important to me to watch the humidity, and I got a couple of ways to mitigate that. Over on this side, we've got small hand planes and chisels. So up here we got a couple of block planes, some small planes, router planes, and chisels of various. I got too many chisels. When I finally built up that set of blue spruce chisels, I swore I was going to sell the old Stanley 40s that I have for a long time, and kind of really loved, and took me a while to build them up, finding them used. But I swore when I got the blue spruces I would sell them, but I just haven't been able to bring myself to do that yet. So we still got the Stanley 40s. And that's about it. Some dovetail chisels there. You know, some firmer chisels in the back. You know, a little beefier. I don't have any mortising chisels because, frankly, I don't mortise by hand. Don't know why I'd want to do that. So that's kind of the bench area. Of course, I've got a pretty kind of standard looking bench there, front vise, end vise. Underneath are two carts, so they'll roll out, and they have surfaces. I could do some assembly on them. A little storage on the bottom of one that is my drafting tool kit, and a machinist vise that I can bring up and clamp into the woodworking vise. And then this guy just has some drawers that tend to, you know, collect junk, like I don't know, little doodads that you think you always need but don't need to reach for immediately. some big 18-inch square, another 12-inch square, just extra squares. I got extra squares and rolls. So in addition to the ones that are up top there, this is kind of cool. I put some little drawers in here. These are my good card scrapers that I keep in there. I got more card scrapers in here. I don't know if you saw that. I'm not a big camera person. Handheld. More card scrapers there. What the heck's in here? Oh, just some dowel centers in there. That would be a scratch tool for scratching beads, like for detail. These are extra irons for that beading tool there, that beading scraper. Dividers, compasses, miscellaneous hunks of wood that I like to keep during a project in case I got to glue them back on or something like that. To the left over here, it's just a wall with a bunch of stuff. I got what I got rules and squares and coping saw, a couple of fret saws, a hacksaw, hand saws, a real veneer hammer, chisels, rasps, files, and just a couple of junk planes and stuff that I may or may not rebuild one day. A lot of you saw my veneer hammer that I use. That's that metal one, non-traditional, but this is what a real traditional veneering hammer would look like. It's beautiful. A friend of mine built it for me, and it's just really nice. I don't use it. So that's that side of the bench. On this side of the bench, I kind of have a side bench. There's a hollow mortising machine down there, a little tiny compressor. I wish I had room for a bigger one. That's my hardware cabinet up there. Sorry if I offend anybody with the girly calendar, but there's a story to that. So that calendar goes back to 1989. When I started the shop, one of the first serious tools I bought was this Bosch barrel handle jigsaw in 1989. And I went to a tool store. There actually used to be stores around, for those of you who don't know this, that would sell quality tools to professionals and serious amateurs. This is before the box stores and the interweb and all that kind of stuff took over all that. And you would go there and they'd give you a calendar. So this guy was a Snap-on dealer as well. So there you go. I got my Snap-on calendar for free. There's an interesting thing. That's the smallest 4-stroke engine I've ever seen. It came out of a weed whacker that crapped out, and I yanked it out because I've got to do an autopsy and find out what made it die. Sorry for the diversion. Most regularly used clamps are to the right of the bench there. You know, these are the ones I grab all the time and need. And to the left of the bench are some long bar clamps. They're aluminum, and those extensions can be put on. So if you need a long, I did a 6-foot kind of farm table center island. I needed some special clamping. That came in great for that. Don't use them much, but they're nice to have. Some spring clamps down there as well. So that's around the bench, right and left. We go over. I got another tool cabinet here, and there's drawers there to store stuff. And then on top, stuff I grab for all the time. You know, pencils, marking devices, Allen keys, and the like. The scraper I always grab for that 7 painter tool, whatever you call that, regular scraper. Pencils, I'm a pencil geek. All the ones right here are sharp. All the ones back there are dull. And I've always got sharp pencils everywhere. A couple of drills and an impact driver, hit, of course, pencil sharpener. And over here are the drill bits and drivers that I use and grab on an everyday basis, just right in front of me. So these are just, you know, kind of junkers, you know, but, you know, what I come to learn over the years, that most of the holes you drill are not critical holes. You know, you really just, you just really need to get a hole in something. So, you know, if these aren't the sharpest and the best, no big deal. I do have the sharpest and the best, and they're locked always in drawers, staying nice and clean and sharp when I need them for something important. I keep a small window air conditioner in the shop. That window air conditioner in the summertime is really, it cools the shop, but it really keeps the moisture down, and it has an energy mode, whereas the compressor will only run 2 minutes out of every 10 minutes. Whether or not it makes the temperature you want it to make, it will only run the compressor 2 minutes out of 10 minutes. So it's very efficient in terms of energy, but that's enough to keep the humidity down. Remember I talked about, having the humidity being an important thing to me. By the way, this tool cabinet, I should give you a quick peek inside of that. And here you can see all kinds of screws down that whole right bank, nail gun nails and the like, and pins and everything on the bottom right. And then on the left, we got some nuts and bolts and washers and stuff like that. Some kind of specialty hardware. I keep my brass stuff over there, finish nails, brads, small number 4, 6, 8, 10 hardware and wire nails, miscellaneous crap hanging on the doors. Just so that you always wind up with stuff, and I like to keep it pretty organized. I got other specialty hardware up there as well. So that's the hardware cabinet, and now we're going over. We got a drill press. That's a Delta drill press. It's got a nice table on it, good for woodworking, right? It's not that typical round machinist table. It's a good wide flat table with some T-tracks in it that you can use. That's also the coat rack for my shop apron, by the way. And then we've got the shop heat. That's a propane heater. If I keep that at the lowest thermostat setting, which is not by temperature, it's by number 1, it'll keep the shop 55 degrees. 55 degrees all winter long, and not burn too much fuel. It just makes enough heat to keep the temperature reasonable. Up here, what do we got here? We got more clamps, right? You never have enough clamps. Less often used. There's some deep reach clamps hanging horizontally, some additional bar clamps and stuff over here on the right. I got some samples of not all the legs I've made, but different legs that I've made at different times. The one on the left is for a 17th century joint stool. And we got a Federal table and another couple of Federals and a bunch of Federal inlays that were either practice legs or stuff that I used for articles or demonstrations at different events or shows or something that I did. Takes us over here to this bump outside, and let me get to a place where I'm using my iPhone, so this is a little awkward. I can't gain too much room. So there's my bandsaw. It slides in on wheels and rolls out when I need it. And it's pretty convenient that way. Up behind that, there are shelves with various finishes and solvents and stuff you need in a day-to-day basis. My tape gets stored over there. We've got a power reel hanging from the ceiling. There's another one up there by the bench. I don't know if you can see it. The light's shining right at us. But and then we come over to this bench area that I made. One of the first things I made many years ago. That's all made from construction lumber. So I went through that phase that every woodworker goes through that says, hey, I just got a jointer and I just got a planer, and why can't I turn construction lumber into wood to make some cabinets and save a lot of money? Well, like I said, every woodworker goes through that at some time with construction wood or pallet wood. It's a great lesson because you learn it's a waste of time and a waste of money, but it's fulfilling. For the glass doors, I did get some furniture grade Douglas fir, just because I didn't want those twisting or warping with the glass. I got a dedicated bench grinder here just for buffing and for the wire wheel. And then I got a regular bench grinder over here. And this bench grinder is my just standard use, but I've also got this tool here so I can sharpen turning tools on that. All right. And there's a name, I think it's a Wolverine is the brand name when you buy these things. I just made one and use it there. Up here in this cabinet, and pardon the camera work again, this is kind of weird. These are all my router bits, okay? I got some sets and box stuff up there, and then I got individual bits in these drawers. See if I can get one out without dropping it. You give it a look see, so that's just how I store router bits. You know, some of them don't stand up, some of them lay down, but I got a bunch of them. Oh, you accumulate a lot of router bits over here. And these drawers just kind of slide in here like that, and there's more drawers of router bits up there. Some wrenches for routers. This area is my sharpening area. So that's a piece of granite to keep everything flat. You know, I will tape or glue down some sandpaper here if I'm doing some heavy lapping or something like that on the back of a plane iron or a plane saw. And then I just keep oil and the sharpening accoutrement over here that I need, you know, for that. Any tiny metal work I do, I just keep a ball peen hammer. I've got a tiny anvil there. I don't do a lot, but sometimes you got to straighten out a hinge or fabricate something. So I do it that way. Up top, I keep my travel bag. Over there, I keep my veneer shading, sand shading stuff. So old frying pans and hot plates and stuff like that. When I get into that, a bunch of miscellaneous crap up there, nothing of great interest. This cabinet over here is where I keep my sharpening stones and my routers. So I got a few routers on that shelf, some router attachments on that shelf, and these are my sharpening stones. You know, dust is your enemy, and you know, I keep them in there just to keep them from getting impregnated with dust when they're sitting around on the bench, and always try to remember to put them away. I guess I got some little doodads in here for, you know, for polishing and sharpening as well. And let's see, there's others who are telling not in here very often. Yeah, just some more sharpening stuff, some rouge and the like, some strop for, you know, for touch-up sharpening. This is just a junk cabinet in the middle. Well, not junk stuff you need. This is sanding. So this cabinet here is various sanding supplies. So, you know, you can see here is random orbit and a couple of palm sanders, a heavier duty random orbit up there, some rolls, some sanding disc for the random orbit, some bulk sandpaper here, more sanding rolls, steel wool, tack rags, all that kind of stuff goes. Anything to do with sanding and the like is going to be in this cabinet. All right, what else? This cabinet down here, important. That's all my boxed tools. So that would be, you know, nailers, pin nailers, biscuit joiner, Dremel, you know, things of that nature. Keep those in there, kind of out of the way. Got a drawer where I keep, you know, hand power tools, drill, heat gun, saw. What I got down here? Down here is camera supplies, so tripods and camera stuff goes in there. These doors down here house my planer. So to get that out, we just slide this out, and there's my service planer, and I just put that up on the table, so as you've probably seen in some of the videos, and then that tucks back out of the way. Moving to the right, I got a small bench grinder, sander, narrow belt and disc sander, and that has onboard dust collection below. And one of these days I'll do a video on onboard dust collection because I think it's pretty cool. And then we get into the back wall has the lathe. All right, so that's a 42-inch jet lathe, variable speed, non-electronic variable speed, just variable speed. It's got a lever It's in between electronic and old-fashioned. You don't have to change the pulleys, but you do have to move the lever to change the speeds. Got extra banjo over there in case I use the long tool rest. And just some junk. Some stickers for when I'm stickering my stock to let it settle. Some turning blanks down the bottom anytime I do a project. And I've got something left over that looks like turning stock. I put it down there. Various dovetail samples, little leg sample in there. You know, dovetails that were either trials for projects I did or demonstrations I did at a class or a show, and I just hung on to them forever, I guess. When you get over to this wall over here are my turning tools. There's a sign from one of the little things I did in an event at one time, I forget, a woodworking show in Somerset, New Jersey. So there's my turning tools, lathe attachments, you know, and stuff I use for the lathe. There's that long tool rest that I would use the second banjo over here for. Would be that long tool rest. That's one of the first. That is probably the first meaningful thing I ever veneered, inlaid, and strung. And I was just practicing with that idea, and that idea grew and got better, and I got better, and it turned into a major design feature I like to use. These two pictures are illustrations of all the turning elements. Again, when I do those little turning demonstrations or classes or something like that, I will hand these out. And you know, it's neat when you're showing people different things to let them know what the individual components are actually called. I don't know how important it is, but it makes me feel like I know what I'm talking about. And down here, just a wonderful drawing of by Mario Rodriguez of some split turnings that we used at one of his master classes to build a beautiful federal mirror. I mean, these things are just over the top. That center one, that has to be carved by hand. You can get around on a lathe, but after that, you're carving, man. Some green woodworking tools, because one time me and a bunch of friends thought it'd be cool to make stools from logs, from oak logs, and we'll split out all the stock and hand make it. And that was a ton of fun, but I don't want to do it no more. But I've got all the tools I assembled hanging over there for if I ever do. Continuing down this wall, we got veneers. I got a lot of veneers. I got veneer everywhere. You know, just various. I'm looking over here. I see some walnut burl. I see some crotch mahogany. I see some quarter saw mahogany, rosewood. That's Brazilian rosewood. A couple of pieces there. Some black dyed. Just various veneers that I would use and will use in furniture making. Most of the federal stuff, you know, gets that treatment. And then on this wall is also my jointer. It's just a 6-inch jet jointer, not a long bed. I don't have a lot of room. I gotta make do. So, yep, 6-inch jointer is gonna have to be it. And then above that, I've just got some storage, you know, stuff I don't use that often. That's a hose reel up there for airline that I don't really use anymore. I keep my glue pot up there. I keep that wax warmer is for keeping liquid hide glue warm while you're working with it. There's my little shellac gizmo that I made, some synthetic steel wool, brushes, threader, spring miter, tap and die, just stuff you don't use that much. It could be high reach because you'll get to it when you get to it. I keep a roll of brown shop paper over the door. I just reloaded that today, actually. I ran out. That's some old patterns hanging up there. That takes us back to, you know, where we started, except for the middle of the room, which is the old jet table saw. It's blue and it's jet, so that means it's pretty old. But it serves me perfectly. It was a compromise when I bought it. It's a cabinet saw, but it's a hybrid saw. So, and what that means is that the trunnions are suspended from the tabletop, right? In a true cabinet saw, the trunnions are fixed to the base and the top lays on top. This is a a hybrid they call it. So it's 2 horsepower, 220, 2 belts drive it. It's got plenty of power. It's never let me down. It's what I could afford at the time. I thought I was going to upgrade it, but here we are, you know, at least 25 years later. And, you know, it does me well. It's got the 50-some inch Biesmeyer fence, which has also served me quite well. Little scrap bin below it. That little thing standing up between the scrap bin and the cab on the right is my collapsible drafting table. And I'll get to that in another video. Somebody's asked about drafting. We'll do that. Over here, just a cart where I store some things. So that is my bench on bench. And you could imagine that will come off and go up on the workbench when you're doing fine work, aka the Steve Lathe stuff. He's the one who showed me how to use that thing or talked me into making it. Down here, I've got some storage for some long stuff. This is some holly stringing. You know, whenever you make this stuff, you got more than you need. It's long. I made a couple of storage. There's some stuff in there. The one next to it, probably some cock beating and some other moldings that are long. Down here, if I get that out of the way, down here we got some exotics. A lot of holly on the right there. I use that a lot. Other stuff down the bottom, I can't make it out from here. Rosewood, babinga, stuff like that. In these drawers, we got more exotics, small stuff that I use for banding and decorative work. This is, there's some ebony right here, obviously. Bottom drawer is more of the same, more exotics, little thicker stuff. And, you know, we'll chop that up and make inlays and bandings and stuff like that. More of that over here, by the way. This bench has a couple of drawers. I keep my knives and stuff in there. What do I keep in here? Small files go in here, a lot used for detail work, paint brushes and stuff like that. And then down here is another for all the federal work. It's just banding and inlay and fans and pieces and stuff you make up. You know, when you do this sort of thing, you tend to make it in batches and you got stuff left over. And I had it all over the place in compromising positions. So I said, hey, I could put a long drawer under there and have a nice safe place to store it. So I did. So this goes, that stuff goes in here. And that brings us back to where we were. I think we went around the whole shop. You know, not much. I always thought I wanted a bigger shop. I guess I still do. But, you know, all in all, I got to say, I make do in here. If, you know, put out what I think is some meaningful stuff. Bunch of veneer up there. If you see up on that shelf up above the sharpening table, there's a bunch of fiddleback mahogany up there. There's some Brazilian rosewood veneer up there. Probably a couple other things I forgot about. That shrink wrap package is a table. I built a federal bow front table, and I built one, and then I proposed it to Popular Woodworking as an article, and they took a long time to get back to me with a yes or no. So I said, oh, screw that. I need the second table. I'm going to start building it. And of course, halfway into the build, they called me and said they wanted to do the article. So I had to scrap that one and start a whole brand new one so that I can photograph all the steps in the process. I don't know if you know this, but when you do articles like that, you take your own photos. And up there is my vacuum veneering stuff. So those are vacuum bags and clamps and netting and stuff like that I use for that up there. Anything else up high I missed? No, I don't think so. Oh, of course, yeah. The Binford clock. It's been correct twice a day for the last 10 years. I have never changed that battery. All right, well, guys, thanks for taking a walk with me. Oh, sorry, there it is. Got a scroll saw, and I mounted it on an extension to the outfeed table where it's out of the way. That's out past the 48-inch mark for the rip fence, so it never gets in the way. Oh, and one other thing, this outfeed table is extendable. So I gotta talk about that too. Outfeed table, these drawers will open out. And then there's a lock there. You can lock it in place. So in addition to having storage for things like wrenches and blades and the like, you have additional outfeed in these two drawers. And again, you would lock them. There's clips there that lock them in place. And now you have full outfeed support for up to 8 feet of material. I'll fully support it. But as you can see, if I committed that much space to a dedicated outfeed table, I would be giving up a lot of premium shop floor. So when I don't need that kind of outfeed support, say goodbye. Say goodbye. The rollers sit flush with the table now so that they're stable. Hey, one other thing while I'm here looking at this angle. That's my scrap. That's the stuff I save after I'm done with the project. And if 30 some years of doing this taught me one thing, it's don't save so much scraps. For God's sakes, we always save. We're woodworkers and we think we're going to never throw anything away because we're going to need it. And the truth is, all we do is just waste a lot of space. So I dedicate this much space to cutoffs. That's it. All right. So if it can't fit in this this little setup, it gets tossed. If I want to put something in there that's better than something that's already in there, then I pull the thing out, throw that away, and put the new one in. But you know, I got some thin stock up here, stock that's been planed down for different jobs, and some poplar, cherry, mahogany, walnut, pine, you name it, it's in there from projects, and that's really all I save. Another thing I missed, I'm never gonna get rid of this, dust collector. Been here for a long time. I found the receipt and the instructions about 5 years ago, so I wrote it down. This was purchased in 1993 from Wilkie Machinery in York, Pennsylvania, and I still have it. It still runs absolutely perfectly. I'll probably do some upgrades on it with a filter bag change out, and when I do that, I'll share that with you guys because I think it's gonna be pretty cool. And that just makes a straight run to the jointer here. You can see a Y coming off. That Y goes across the table saw in the back there, comes out here, picks up the table saw on the bottom there, and then this hose is loose and flexible. I can pull it out and connect it to the bandsaw when that's pulled out, or I can take that hose and flip it up on top of the table saw when I set the planer there and use it that way. So, all right. Well, I'm sure I missed stuff. If you saw anything in the video that you got a question about, please add it in the comments. And I'm sure you're already subscribed, so I won't bother you by asking you to subscribe. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.